Happy Tuesday. Clicking on it. Happy Tuesday. So I've been doing compliances on Tuesday. So um, I'm gonna make a playlist of all the compliances. Of course, today is you see it right there. FERPA, Family Education Rights and Privacy Act. Of course, as part of that compliance, you have some computer security set up in there and some other things. So we're gonna go touch on that. Like I said, I'm gonna have a playlist of all the compliances in there. Um, I think that's great domain knowledge to have, even at a higher level, to understand those security compliances across domain. Once again, I don't know how popular this is, but let's go ahead and get it. I keep toying with doing GRC classes. I've seen a lot of people create classes as a part of the GRC class. You would have your different compliance in the GRC governance risk and compliance part of that. So let's go ahead and start, and whoever falls in, falls in. So once again, if you're in the clouds or checking it out, just drop a question inside the chat box. Let me know, and we're gonna get started. Uh, you see it, Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, FERPA. The thumbnail: protect school kids' information. The schools from various sizes to various cyber capabilities and that. So this is one of the videos I did, and I was surprised that Howard University was shut down for CyberSecurity attack. I think they lost I think it was a week of class, right? So, but Howard University is not the only um, education or school. If you look out there, schools have been get big schools. I think Texas was hit. A lot of high schools were hit. Why? Well, as we go through there, and once we get to the computer part, FERPA is just really not very good or prescriptive or even have a very good baseline for cybersecurity. So once again, let's just kind of flow through these slides, and they are what they are. So let's talk about it. Family Education Rights Privacy Act, FERPA. It's a federal law that affords parents the right to have access to their children's education records, the right to seek to have records amended, and the rights to have some control and disclosure of personally identifiable information from educational records. Right, so that's the key: personal identifiable information, PII. Right, that means we have to lock it down and secure it. Right, at at some level. Right, for the security of this. Right, so what is the audience? Early child educators, educating technology vendors, parents and students, researchers of that education, K through 12 school officials, and post secondary school officials. Right, Howard, of course, is a post secondary. Right, so we're talking about colleges and information and all of that. Right, so what does that actually look like? What does it actually amend to? A student record could contain all educational information, including report cards, grades, GPA, transcripts, immunization, medical records, disciplinary records, family contact information, course schedules, technical information, and even psychological evaluations and more, right? there are two categories: personal identifier information and directory information. Right. So those are the two kinds of information you could have on your educational records. Right. And the other two things that came out up there, if you look up immunization and medical records, right? So some FERPA data actually falls under HIPAA information, right? So we got to make sure that if you're doing FERPA and you got medical records, right? So you need to make sure you're at the proper security level. What's up, blind guy, his wife, and their life? Uh, how you doing today? Happy Tuesday. I'm losing track of time. So we talked about family educational rights and privacy act FERPA. How are we handling the kids' information from a cybersecurity perspective? So once again, some of the records include report cards, GPA, immunization, medical records, disciplinary records. And I forgot about this. Sometimes you have psychological evaluations for kids with issues, people getting Ritalin. So all those informations are under the FERPA, but some of it might touch on HIPAA depending on, of course, what type of information we are. And two is, once again, back at the top, we talked about Howard University being shut down for cybersecurity this year. I think it was shut down for a couple weeks, right? So that type of attacks falls under FERPA, right? So we need to figure out from college, secondary, and even high school, how are we protecting those institutions from cyber attack, right? So FERPA is supposed to be it, right? So there's two types of FERPA information. When you talk about education, we went over some individual, but there's two broad categories of that. Personal identifier information, like we talked about, information that directly or indirectly through linkage with other information identifies students, an actual student. Direct example, PI includes student name, social security number, date of birth, right? There's another type called directory information. It's coin education recorded would not be generated considerable harm or invasion of privacy if disclosed. Example of direct information is student name, address, and phone number, and age, and academic major and grade level. Right? I mean, I don't like any of that information, but they call it direct information. A lot of that stuff too is you can look up in the phone book or in Google, and it'll have a lot of information publicly available for you. So they call that directory information. Parents of eligible students also have the rights to notify annually by schools of their FERPA rights, as well as rights to obtain a copy of their school policies, exercise their rights to review records, exercise the correct information, refuse disclosure of information, and consent to the disclosure of information. Right, and also you can file a complaint about a FERPA violation if you don't think the school is taking care of your records, right? So once again, this is under compliance under cybersecurity. Domain knowledge is a FERPA. So if I wanted to do cybersecurity for a school system or a college or PWI, Historic Black College, if I'm a Chief Information Security Officer, these are the things I need to know to secure that information at a base level for that educational system. All right, so that's why we're hitting that today. Once again, let me get back to the right slide. Struggling today. Once again, throw any questions if you have them in there, if you have any. Uh, data security for K12 higher education. The Department of Education is committing to educational community better safeguard for security of students' data in school of all levels, while the Family Educational Rights Act of FERPA, which was dated in 1974, does not require educational institutions to adopt a specific security control. Security security threats can pose a significant risk for student data. Right, so that in red, right, does not require educational institution to adopt specific security controls. So if you're not telling them to adopt specific security controls, how are you going to protect the data for educational system, right? So that's one of my big issues with FERPA. All right. Once again, I do a little freelancing, so that's one of the uh, things I do. I help small companies or small educational systems secure their infrastructure. So educational institutions should take appropriate steps to safeguard student records because educational breach can lead to a violation of FERPA and negatively consequences for students such as identity theft, fraud, and extortion. All right. So if you can have a negative impact on your students and faculty, etc., it seems like you would have a certain level of security controls you would want your systems to have. So that's a weird thing. One of the big things too is it's not huge, but once again on the FERPA Act, one of the first things is they believe is you want to train your staff, right? Educational institution does yearly training. We do that too, includes the rights to provide and the requirements of school. FERPA has exceptions and nuances which are easy to forget. What's up, Ty? We're just going over FERPA from a cybersecurity perspective. A lot of universities and high schools been attacked with ransomware and cybersecurity, so we're actually just peeking under the hood of FERPA to really see how bad it is and what can we do to help to make it better. Blind guy. So when we exercise our FERPA rights, what are we doing with the information? Are we just checking to see what they have on the records, or using it for transport, or transitioning to a new school? Uh, all that's true. Usually, when you transfer schools, transfer grades, transfer institution, or when you go to college, it's a little more, right? Because you could be getting grants and work study, different programs will want to see that information, right? But from a security perspective, right, that's the privacy right there. What you talking about, blind guy, his wife, and their life. But from a cybersecurity, what do we do to lock it down? But from a privacy perspective, who gets to see it? Who gets the references? Right? If your kid is having mental issues and that's in their records, you don't want anybody to see that and start teasing your kids or bullying your kids. Now with social media, if they find something negative about a kid, they put it on Snapchat or Instagram, right? And it catches like wildfire. So I think they're should be more worried about the privacy of that information. Uh, the data security checks FERPA wanted you to do was policy and governance, personal security, physical security, network mapping, inventory of assets, authentication, provider layer defense, secure configuration, and access control. And all of those are known NIST checks. All of those are great checks. They just don't tell you how they want them done, right? So you as a cybersecurity professional has to kind of figure out how you're going to do that. And since there's no guidelines for that, it's hard for security compliance to come in and say, "Are you secure?" Right? It's kind of up to your choice. All right, and other things that was on there, once again, these are standard security families. You create a policy for all of these firewalls and intrusion, automated vulnerability scan and patch management, shut down unnecessary servers, mobile devices, email confidential data, incident handling, and audit and compliance monitoring. Right, so those are just standard things you would do, but once again, they don't give you any implementation guidelines on how that should be done. Right, since I do federal work, everybody knows that if you do STIGs or CIS or Pub 1075 check, they tell you what that specific check is to put on that computer to make sure you pass. Right. So if you don't do that, then right, we kind of guessing on compliance from a educational perspective. That's why schools are easy to do ransomware, easily attacked. Until we know school funding from a money issue, right, is they're not at the top of that, right? Another second part of that, and I pulled all this off their website, was data governance, right? What data governance? Decision making authority, standard policy and procedure, data inventories. Where do you have this FERPA data? Do you have it identified? Do you have it classified? And that's a big issue. Is you have call it spillage. You start spilling bits and data because it's not in the right place you said it should be. right? That doesn't mean it's hacked. Spillage means is I got FERPA data in the system that wasn't supposed to have it in there. So the problem with it is if it's in a system that it should be in, how is it secured, you know, at that level? Oh, that's cool, Tiny. Thanks for the subscription popping up. Data content management, data records, data access, and data security and risk management. Right. So once again, they references those issues, but they don't tell you how to do it. Right. So if you got a content management system, record management system, there's all kind of learning management system. I'm sure everybody knows I'm actually a professor in real life, right? So I have to follow this when talking to my students and releasing records, right? But when we use that system, is how do you know it's secure for FERPA information, right? If the checks aren't, their compliance checks aren't specifically stated, then we're kind of guessing at that. Identity. They did have an identity authentication and best practices, right? They had the standard stuff, knowledge factors. Some things users know. The requested party demonstrate the knowledge. Some unique data associated. Being standard is passwords, security questions, or PIN, right? That's the ownership. The question party demonstrates that it has possession of something uniquely from the party or token, ID card, mobile device in case one time sending a password, right? So you can do MFA and all that's type of authentication and identification, right? Inheritance factors, something the user is or does. Uh, Got it. Thanks. We want to keep our children's private. Yeah, private info private. You cybersecurity guys are willing a digital force to keep it private. So I got your back. So yeah, it's just hard, right? Because a lot of these systems were made to be easy to use, and security wasn't made a high profile issue. So now we're trying to go back and secure some systems that are from the 80s and 90s, or even especially from educators, because they're usually last in the pipeline for getting money and getting their systems up to date. So, which is weird, but the government's kind of making it an issue to kind of lock that down. I think they're trying to make an issue for cybersecurity, period. So once again, inherent factors, something the user is or does. Requesting a party demonstrates that it has a feature inherited to the party identified. Matching fingerprint, iris pattern, or facial recognition. Those are commonly referred to as biometrics. Right. So a lot of times now, when you open up your phone, a lot of people are using the face recognition or the fingerprint. I don't do that because if they get stolen out your phone, now I have inheritance factors of yours. I have your digital fingerprint. I have the mathematical outline of your face, right? A lot of that is what's the distance between your eyebrows, right? What's the indentation between the eyes and the depth between your nose, the top and the bottom, right? That's a mathematical model of your representation, right? So if somebody steals that, right, is that you or not you, or is it just a mathematical model of you, right? So that's one of the things we're trying to get to. And from the identity and authentication best practices, they have levels of assurance levels to describe the degree of certainty that the user has been presented as the identifier. So those are the 4 levels of assurance. Level 1 is little or no confidence. Level 2 is some confidence. Level 3 is high confidence. And level 4 is very high confidence. Right? So depending on the level of confidence you need is what level of identification, right? Am I going to use facial recognition, fingerprinting, your voice pattern, right? So there's a lot of things you do to get to that level 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? But it's just username and password, right? Where I have some confidence, where probably for me 2.5, right in the middle of high level. The rubber face can be stolen. I love those Mission Impossible. My favorite one, I forgot which one was it. The guy actually had to walk a certain way to get into the vault because the vault actually took the pattern of how you walk to get into the box. So those Mission Impossible definitely had some cool stuff. They had the voice thing, so you can mimic somebody's voice at the tech. But if you Google deep fakes now, they got the computer to generate the tone of your voice and your face from a picture. So they can actually duplicate deep fakes. I probably do a video on deep fakes. I did one a long time ago. But yeah, deep fakes are so good now. You can definitely impersonate somebody's voice through a computer. You can get their tone and everything, right? Because the computer is going to modulate your voice to match that. Right. So like you said, it's getting easy. Well, I guess Mission Impossible is becoming more and more, right? So I got this from CISA, one of the top government agencies, infrastructure security agency, and they made a big deal about K through 12 resources actually for ransomware. All right, so they got their home page. That's right. The response to the rise of malicious activity from with ransomware against K through 12 educational institutions since the onset of COVID-19 in the increase in the remote learning, CISA's collaborating with the FBI has produced a helpful fact sheet, the cyber threats K through 12 remote learning education. Right? So the government's making it actually a big deal. What's up, NC worker? Glad you can join us. Talking about FERPA, talking about educational securities for the babies. Let's protect the baby's data. Now, let's so just kind of going through that as a compliance, kind of as a domain knowledge thing. Once again, Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, FERPA, the government are actually digging down because every week a school was getting hit. Like I showed you Howard, one of the preeminent HBCUs was taken down, I think, for almost a month, right, from a cyber attack. So it's real. And two is educational systems does not get the money they need to lock to lock down their system. Of course, I always have to hit my favorite site, AWS. They have something for everything. They so they cover FERPA. Once again, family educational rights. They have their AWS compliance site. You see, they actually have the compliance AWS white paper, which I looked through. And I actually took some out there in the next slide. So it just basically says the right to inspect and review, governance over disclosure of the records, and a mechanism to append incorrect educational records. Right? So AWS has, of course, some VMs for you, some networking for you. They can help you get to FERPA, right? And that's the thing I'm inside FERPA. Actually start getting set up and kind of walking through that from a compliance standpoint and a security standpoint. That's why I always show AWS, like that's the 800-pound gorilla in the industry. And this is actually from their website, and I highlighted my thoughts on this as a whole thing, right? Because this is going to be pretty short. Compliance with FERPA and student data privacy law when built on AWS because FERPA was authored in 1974. It lacks clear guidance on modern technology use, which means that the educational institution is often left to create their own solution. Right, so that's out of all that said, right, I guess I'll read the rest of it. While some United States students' data privacy law regulations are more prescriptive, specific technical requirements by the United States are heavily dependent on the customer security controls and system configuration. As part of this solution, customers are encouraged to take the steps such as encryption access control, device compliance policy, threat protection plan, data protection, sensitive information. So basically, AWS says we can do what we got to use us. But once again, in red, FERPA, it lacks clear guidance on modern technology use, which means that educational institutions are often left to create their own solution. Right. So that's where we come in. That's where when you get in cybersecurity, how would you, if you were on an education system, how would you set that up from a security program? Me, I probably would start off something like PCI, get their policies and procedures, FERPA, meld those with PCI fundamentals, get your networking set up for all the Cisco networking guys, right? Policies and procedures for the GCR people, all our DBAs, pick the right database, get encryption at rest, right? So you would just go through your steps to make sure you could secure that information at a certain level. Once again, that was super short because I think FERPA is super light as a cybersecurity for our cybersecurity reference. So once again, I just want to show that, and that's a video if you want to go listen to it. It was super short. It was how our university was shut down for cybersecurity attacks, and the classes were shut down in the red. Once again, I think AWS said it. FERPA is super light as a security compliance, and I think that's why you had all those issues. And I think that's why. Let me go back to the. And I think once again that's why you have CISA and the FBI trying to figure out how to protect schools. All right. I think they need to come up with, which is kind of hard because it's expensive, one security baseline for government, maybe a couple for high and low, then a couple for commercial, high and low. Right now, we probably got 10 differences, compliances, and a lot of those compliances really don't tell you how to comply. So, once again, I wanted to go over FERPA for certain domain knowledge. While we're on here, I was going to see if there were. I was just going to look on Indeed and see if there was a lot of just put FERPA out there and see what it comes up with from it came out with 100 and I'll put it on the screen. So yeah, it came out with I did FERPA super quick. Came out with 124 jobs. First one came out as 110. So if you're in Alpharetta, Georgia, you better get on this FERPA. Alpharetta, Georgia. Let's see. Client base. Operates vision to exceed client expectation in IT infrastructure management, combining deep technical information skills with utilization. More than a decade later, let's talk about the company. Major part of a managed detection response team, real-time cyber defense, SME. So there's a few jobs out there related to FERPA. Another one, Director of IT Support Automation, Georgia State University, 92 to 106. So you get that FERPA skill. So I just want to do FERPA as a domain, FERPA as like I said, as a security domain. How would you do it? Maybe I need to go down to Georgia and go to what was it? Georgia Southern University. I think that's HBCU. I need to Google it. But that's about it. Like I said, I want to do something short and just kind of go over it. Like I said, FERPA is a super light security compliance for the kids. So that's all I want. If y'all got any more questions, just throw them in the box. I just wanted to do something super quick and just go live. I just like I said, I'm gonna kind of hit all the compliances. I'm gonna put a playlist. I've done HIPAA, FERPA, IRS, statistics for DOD. So, like I said, I probably do OSHA, FISMA, and a couple of them later. I'll probably skip a couple weeks. So that's about it. The main class, of course, is Sunday at 3, Introduction to Cybersecurity. Come check us out. I think we're on I need to look. I think week 10. It's kind of a 16-week course. I kind of put together. I melded it after like 3 or 4 courses I taught before. So come check us out, kind of get your foot wet. That's why I like to do these different domains, different techniques. In the class, we talk about, wireless, VMware, databases, Purple Team, how you do the program. And I always throw little stigs in there for security technical implementation guidelines. What should you do for that particular vector? Like I said, I'm doing a compliance playback, so I'm going through all the compliance. Once again, HIPAA, FERPA, IRS Pub 1075. I think I did FISMA, DOD STIGs. I probably do OSHA, OSHA next. It's a lot of them out there. Too, though, it was cool when we looked in and did a quick search in the deed. We did say a couple six-figure jobs, that's asking for FERPA and how you set that up. No questions. This was Format A presented. That's cool. Let me know. Blind got his wife in their life. Anything you need, just let me know. So yeah, I want to touch on that because, like I said, it's a different level of security. So on my channel, I like to do commercial security, kind of what affects everybody. Then I do mid-level security, hacks, what happened, what vendors. Then it's a little higher level security, different compliances, STIG, locking down, and actually doing a security program. Then I actually have some legal people we're going to talk about at a high level from a society perspective. Do you think facial recognition is correct, right? It fails on people of color 30% of the time. A friend of mine's a lawyer. We're going to talk about cash bond, right? A lot of people, if you get a cash bond, you get locked up. If you poor, you stay in jail. Where if you did a AI program, you could say, okay, this person has this, that. The AI thinks even though if you don't have money, we can let you out on your own recognizance, right? How does technology actually affect the world in that way? And I'm going to ask Pudding. What's up, engineering Ken? So those are some things. So I'm gonna start doing some high level work. So yeah, that's my man, Mr. Engineering Cannabis, artificial intelligence, machine learning, various techniques. So we're gonna talk about cash bonds, UNA, using artificial intelligence to let people out if you don't have money from the jail system, right? It's not fair to keep you locked up just because you don't have money waiting on the lawyer, right? So where does AI and those technologies can that help, right? So those are some things I hope to not hope I am gonna do on my channel. I got them lined up. I got I got to upgrade my software. I'm still struggle streaming a little bit. So once again, that's my channel. Please subscribe. I'm going on a. I love to get interviews, so I think I'm gonna go on before the billions. I need to reach back out to him, so I'm hoping to be on his channel. I like to see young guys making moves and everybody really making moves, but I love to see young guys doing their thing. Um, that's all I got. I'll wait a few minutes to see anybody got any additional questions. Definitely go subscribe to Blind Guy, his wife, and their life. Once again, they have a variety of stuff on there. They got me trying to eat right, even though I failed today. I, I ate bad already today, so I'm trying to get vegetarian or something so I can get a little better. So go check them out. Let's see. And that's all I got. Thanks for coming out. Like I said, it was something short. I like to do some quick hit. Like I said, purpose kind of light, kind of weak. That's why I was getting hacking. So everybody have a great Tuesday. Let's get it.